Ewarama couldn't shake the feeling that her words had somehow played a part in it. "Why does this keep happening?" she whispered to herself one night. Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Ewarama who lived in the village of Tanoso, nestled deep in the heart of Ghana. Ewarama was a bright-eyed girl, full of life and laughter. Her beauty and intelligence made her the pride of her family. But what truly set her apart was her tongue, which seemed sharper and quicker than any other in the village. She found humor in everything and often teased her friends and elders, never realizing the true power of her words. From childhood, Ewarama had been warned by her mother, Mame Isi, to be mindful of her tongue. "Words are like eggs," her mother would say. "Once they drop, you cannot put them back together." But to Ewarama, these warnings were just old sayings from her mother. Her carefree attitude continued as she grew older, until one day when everything changed. One hot afternoon, while the village boys played football on the dusty field, Ewarama sat with her friends under the shade of a baobab tree. They were watching the boys when her attention landed on one of the players, Kwame, a chubby, cheerful boy. "Kwame Pa!" Ewarama laughed, pointing at him. "By the time you run across the field, the match will be over. Your legs are as slow as a tortoise. Maybe you should just sit and clap for the others." Her friends burst into laughter. Kwame smiled weakly and tried to ignore her words. But deep inside, he felt embarrassed. The game continued, and Kwame tried his best to keep up. But as fate would have it, while running toward the ball, Kwame tripped, twisted his ankle and fell hard. The boys rushed to help him, but the pain was too much, and Kwame had to be carried home. That evening, Ewarama couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. "I was only joking," she muttered to herself. "It can't be because of what I said." But the incident weighed on her. It wasn't the first time her words had seemed to bring misfortune, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. When Ewarama turned 16, her parents decided to send her to live with her aunt in Kumasi to continue her education. Kumasi was nothing like the village. It was a city of energy and noise, where streets were lined with kiosks selling everything from plantain chips to second-hand clothes. Ewarama adapted quickly to the city life, making friends at school and earning top marks in her class. But her sharp tongue followed her wherever she went. One afternoon, she was at her new school in Kumasi, sitting with her best friend Emily, when a girl named Lisa approached them. Lisa was one of those students who always seemed to be lagging behind in their studies. And that day, she had come to ask Ewarama for help with mathematics. "Ewarama, can you help me with this equation?" Lisa asked timidly, holding out her book. Ewarama glanced at the book and smirked. "Oh, bear your head die so? By the time you understand this, we'll all be graduated and gone. Maybe you should start thinking of another profession. Selling oranges, perhaps?" Emily laughed, and Lisa, her face flushed with embarrassment, walked away without saying a word. The next day, Lisa didn't show up to class. A week passed, and still there was no sign of her. Then the rumors started. Lisa had dropped out of school, and her family was moving away. Her father had suddenly lost his job, and her mother had fallen gravely ill. People whispered about misfortune that had struck her family all at once, and Ewarama couldn't shake the feeling that her words had somehow played a part in it. "Why does this keep happening?" she whispered to herself one night, staring up at the ceiling. It had started to dawn on her that her tongue held more power than she had ever imagined, but she still tried to convince herself it was all coincidence. By the time Ewarama entered university in Accra, she had become even more confident, beautiful, and sharp-witted. She was the kind of woman that drew attention effortlessly, and many men vied for her affection. But Ewarama had learned to guard her heart after several disappointments. One such incident involved a young man named Fiefi. Fiefi was a charming, smooth-talking business major who initially swept Ewarama off her feet. For a few months, their relationship seemed perfect. He lavished her with attention, took her to the finest restaurants, and promised her the world. But it wasn't long before Iorama discovered that Fifi had been seeing another girl behind her back. Furious and heartbroken, she confronted him in the university's bustling courtyard. "You think you're smart, Fifi?" Iorama said, her voice loud enough to attract curious onlookers. "You won't know peace. The same way you've hurt me, you'll be crawling back on your knees, begging for the love you can't have." Fifi laughed it off, brushing her words aside as mere post-breakup drama. But within weeks, he began to face a series of unfortunate events. His grades plummeted, his relationship with the other girl fell apart, and he was involved in a scandal on campus that cost him a prestigious internship. Fifi, once so full of confidence, was reduced to a shadow of himself. Iorama, known for her beauty and intelligence, attracted many suitors. One by one, young men from the city and her village came to court her, hoping to win her heart. Iorama, however, had high standards, and she wasn't afraid to let them know it. Iorama had always been generous with her friends, sharing what she had and offering help whenever needed. But her kindness was once betrayed by one of her close friends, Awo, who stole money from her. Iorama discovered the theft when she was preparing to pay for her final year fees. Furious and hurt, she confronted Awo in their dormitory. "Awo, did you take any money out of my drawer?" Iorama asked. "Oh, you too. Why are you asking me this question? Are you indirectly calling me a thief or what?" Awo replied, looking defensive. "Awo, you're the last person I thought would betray me," Iorama said, her voice shaking with anger. "I trusted you, but hear me now. Nothing good will come from what you've stolen. That money will bring you nothing but trouble." Awo denied the theft at first, but everyone knew she was guilty. Soon after, Awo's life began to spiral. The money Iorama had suspected she took mysteriously disappeared from her bag, and she struggled financially for the rest of the semester. Her friendships fell apart, and she dropped out of school shortly after. Iorama, who had hoped for justice, felt conflicted. Each time her words brought pain, even when deserved. It left a bitter taste in her mouth. Back in Kumasi, Iorama's younger sister Serwa came to visit her one weekend. Serwa had just started her first year at university and was struggling to adjust to the academic demands. As they sat in Iorama's small apartment, Serwa sighed heavily. "I don't know if I can do this, Iorama. The courses are too hard. I feel like I'm going to fail." Iorama, frustrated with her sister's lack of confidence, responded without thinking. "Serwa, if you keep talking like that, you'll fail for sure. You're already sounding like someone who has given up. Maybe university isn't for you." Serwa's eyes widened, and she left the conversation feeling worse than before. True to Iorama's careless words, Serwa's grades started to slip, and she eventually failed her first semester exams. When she called Iorama in tears, Iorama realized with horror what she had done. Determined to no longer let her words be a source of pain, Iorama decided to try and reverse the harm she had caused, starting with Serwa. She called her sister one evening, ready to offer words of encouragement instead of criticism. "Serwa, I've been thinking," Iorama began gently. "I know I haven't been the most supportive sister, and I'm sorry. You're smart and capable, and I believe in you. I know you can turn things around. Don't give up just because of one bad semester. You can still succeed." Serwa, who had been on the verge of quitting school, felt a surge of hope. Iorama's words were like a lifeline, pulling her back from the brink of failure. With renewed determination, Serwa retook her exams and passed with flying colors. Iorama's words had finally brought healing instead of pain. One day, Iorama visited a friend named Abina, who had been struggling with a mysterious illness for months. The doctors couldn't find the cause, and her family had tried all kinds of remedies, but nothing seemed to work. As Iorama sat by Abina's bedside, she spoke softly. "Don't worry, Abina. You'll be fine soon. You are strong, and this sickness will leave you. Remember this TikTok trend? You are a chosen sickness. Who are you?" Iorama said with a smile on her face, holding Abina's hand. Abina looked at Iorama's face and smiled back. To everyone's surprise, Abina began to recover shortly after Iorama's visit. Her fever broke, Her strength returned, and within days, she was back on her feet. The family couldn't explain it, but they were overjoyed. Abena's mother even called Iwarama a blessing. Iwarama, however, was puzzled. How could her words heal one person and yet bring pain to another? The more she thought about it, the more confused she became. She remembered how her words hurt Kwame, Lisa, and Awo, but now her comforting words had helped Abena. Was her tongue a curse, or was it a gift? She couldn't decide. Life continued, and Iwarama found herself in various situations where her word brought unexpected consequences. As the years passed, Iwarama's life continued to be a mix of success and confusion. Her business in Kumasi flourished, but the trail of people affected by her words grew longer. Sometimes her words brought laughter and healing. Other times, they left scars and chaos. One evening, while visiting her hometown of Tanoso for a festival, Iwarama sat alone by the river, reflecting on the strange journey her life had become. She thought of Kwame, Lisa, and Abena. For so long, she had believed that her words were harmless, just jokes or casual remarks. But the evidence was undeniable now. Her tongue had power to heal, to hurt, to build, and to destroy. She could no longer dismiss it as coincidence. It was as if her tongue carried a magic she didn't fully understand. And with this realization came a deep sense of responsibility. That night, Iwarama prayed for the first time in a long while. She asked for wisdom and guidance to control the power of her words, to use them only for good, and to be more mindful of what she said. In the months that followed, Iwarama became a different person. She was no longer quick to speak or make jokes at the expense of others. She chose her words carefully, thinking about their potential impact before they left her lips. Where she once would have teased or mocked, she now spoke with kindness and thoughtfulness. Her friends and family noticed the change. One day, while attending a social event in Accra, Iwarama was introduced to a young entrepreneur named Richmond Affle, a rising star in the business world. He had heard of Iwarama's success and was eager to learn from her. They began talking, and soon, Rich, as most of his friends call him, became enchanted by her wisdom and confidence. They started dating, and for the first time in a long while, Iwarama felt truly happy. But as their relationship deepened, so did her fear. She had already experienced the destructive power of her words in her past relationships, and she didn't want the same thing to happen with Rich. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Rich's apartment, overlooking the bustling streets of Accra, Iwarama found herself at a crossroads. "Richmond," she said softly, "I need to tell you something about me." He looked at her, concern flashing in his eyes. "What is it?" "There's something strange about me. My words, they have a way of affecting people's lives. I don't know how or why, but it's like I have some kind of power." Rich raised an eyebrow. "Power? How do you mean?" Iwarama sighed and began telling him everything about Kwame, Lisa, Awo, and even her own sister Sawa. She explained how her words, whether spoken in jest or with good intentions, seemed to carry an uncanny ability to shape the lives of those who heard them. Richmond listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. "I don't think you're cursed, Iwarama," he said after a long pause. "It sounds like you have a gift, a rare gift. Maybe you've been using it unknowingly, but now that you're aware of it, you can control it." Iwarama looked into his eyes, searching for reassurance. "What if I hurt you? What if I say something that ruins what we have?" Rich smiled and took her hand. "You won't. Not if you speak with love and kindness. Your words don't have to bring harm. They can bring healing too. You've already done that for many people. You just need to trust yourself." With Richmond's support, Iwarama decided to face her past head on. She had spent too long feeling guilty for the pain she had caused, but now she wanted to make amends. Her first stop was her hometown, Tanoso. She visited Kwame, the chubby boy she had teased on the football field so many years ago. He was now a grown man, working as a momo vendor. When Iwarama found him, he was tending to one of his customers. "Kwame!" she called out. He turned and smiled, recognizing her immediately. "Iwarama, it's been so long." Iwarama approached him, her heart heavy with regret. "Kwame, I came to apologize. Do you remember that day on the field when I teased you? I never meant to hurt you, but I think my words caused you pain." Kwame laughed softly. Ewarama, that was years ago. We were just kids. But I feel like I owe you an apology, Ewarama insisted. My words have caused too much harm in my life, and I'm trying to make things right. Kwame looked at her with kindness. You don't need to apologize, Ewarama. We all say things we don't mean sometimes. What matters is that you're here now, and you've grown. That's what's important. Relieved, Ewarama felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She continued her journey of reconciliation, visiting Lisa, who had also since moved to Kumasi. Lisa was now a teacher at a local school, and though she had struggled in her studies all those years ago, she had found her true calling in helping others learn. I'm sorry for the things I said back then, Ewarama told her. I was cruel, and I didn't think about how my words might affect you. Lisa smiled warmly. We were young, Ewarama, but I appreciate your apology. I've let go of the past, and you should too. With each apology, Ewarama felt her burden grow lighter. She was finally learning to wield the power of her words with care and compassion. Years passed, and Ewarama and Richmond's relationship blossomed into a loving partnership. They got married in a beautiful ceremony that brought together their families from both the city and the village. As they stood before their loved ones, exchanging vows, Ewarama chose her words carefully, knowing that they held the power to shape her future. I promise, she said to Richmond, to always speak with love and respect, to build you up with my words, and to never take for granted the power that our tongues hold. Rich smiled and repeated his vows, and the two of them began their journey together with a deep understanding of the weight of their words. Ewarama's business continued to flourish, and she became known not only for her success, but for her wisdom. People from all walks of life came to her for advice, knowing that her words could bring clarity, hope, and healing. She had learned to control the gift she once feared, using it to uplift others instead of tearing them down. The moral lesson of this tale is that words are powerful. They can heal or hurt, build or destroy. What we say, even in jest, can have lasting effects on those around us. It is our responsibility to use our words wisely, speaking with kindness and thoughtfulness. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil will grow, our words take root in the hearts of those who hear them. Remember, words have the power to shape the world, so let's use them to make it a better place. I hope you enjoyed today's tale. If you did, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more captivating African tales. See you same time in my next video. Bye!